if you invest in technology and you don't have a training plan, you can pretty much be assured that that technology is not going to get adopted.
Yeah.
um, so, in my perspective, the training piece is a very small insurance policy to ensure the effective adoption of the technology itself, and not just the technology, but the way you want the technology used, the custom workflows and processes. I think any type of technology adoption, you need a training program, and you need it done in the way that you're going to be using that technology for each project. So I have seen over my years, many BIM execution plans, and very few can I say that I've seen training be a component on the BIM execution plan. So you've got this beautiful plan, yet people overlooked how are you going to get people to follow it?
Hi, Susan. Welcome to the Digital Construction Podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Thank you. So today in this episode of the Digital Construction Podcast, we sit down with Susan Brattberg. She's the founder of Global E-Training, and we will explore the role of virtual training in the construction industry. We'll discuss the evolution of online training and the impact that it has on technology adoptions. But before we start, Susan, can you share with us a little bit of your journey and of your career and why you're here today?
Sure, thank you. It seems like it's been a long career so far in this exciting industry in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. Global E-Training started 16 and a half years ago. We launched at Autodesk University, and that's still been our biggest conference, and our biggest area of business is in the Autodesk industry. And we've certainly expanded quite a lot. When we first launched 16 years ago, we had one course, which was AutoCAD. Now we have over 450 courses and counting. And our technology, we've migrated from just an online course company to a full technology company, where we're part of architecture, engineering, construction, manufacturing companies' tech stack, and helping them drive technology adoption. So we've seen a lot of changes over the years, and it's been pretty exciting. And I've been with Global E-Training since day one as one of the founders.
That's amazing. Thanks, Susan. I'm sure you are the right person to talk with us about training and online training in particular. So we know that over the last few years, training has evolved. We had a global pandemic. People started working from home. Lots of things have changed. But from your point of view, how has that evolved with the last few years? Training.
Yeah, it is really interesting. We've seen a big change over, like, let's just even rewind 16 years ago. The idea of anything online was mind-boggling to a lot of people. Like, we'd be doing webinars, and it was the first webinar anyone had been on. And then they'd be scratching their head saying, "You mean to say you're going to learn on the internet?" It was just a wild concept at the time. And so what really happened with the pandemic is that shifted. And we're no longer having conversations about the idea of working and learning remotely. I think it just proved that people can do pretty much anything online. So that's really exciting. So online training is not a crazy concept. It's just a normal way of working now, and a normal way of learning. And now what we're seeing, now that it's so widely accepted, is we're seeing higher, more elevated levels of an organization, like the CIO and CTO and directors of digital delivery, taking a real interest, understanding that training is the number one way to drive technology adoption. Also, organizations are seeing, training is not a nice to have, it's a must have if they want to attract and retain top talent. So we're seeing a very senior level get involved, compared to the old days saying, "Oh, we train people once every 2 to 5 years." Like that, we don't have those conversations anymore.
Yeah,
it's a new culture of continuous learning. People know, like, the things are changing faster than they ever have, right? So you need a way to keep up to date.
Yeah, I really share it. I really agree with you. Like, we need to continuous learning. It's very important. It's an important investment that we do for ourselves,
Yeah.
and businesses have to do that. But what is so I understand this is a big opportunity, but you started the company, so you must be very proud of this journey and very passionate about this journey. But what
Sure.
has inspired you to create Global E-Training, and what gaps were you aiming to fill?
Yeah, well, I co-founded it. It's actually a family business, so I co-founded it with my sister and my brother-in-law. And we're still all very active in the business. So I'm a CCO, Chief Customer Officer. So I'm a lot more customer facing and focused on customer delight, and making sure they have an amazing experience. My sister is CSO, Chief Strategy Officer, and then Steve is CTO, Chief Technology Officer. So between us, we're the board, and we have an amazing team. But the real catalyst for us launching Global E-Training was we also run an Autodesk Authorized Training Center. So it's called Digital School. It's the oldest Autodesk Authorized Training Center in Canada. And it's over 40 years old. So we have a very deep background in training and technical training. And our program, back in the day, we had a college in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. It was formerly the Alberta School of Drafting and then changed its name to Digital School. And people wanted to take our program, but they didn't want to go to Edmonton. I don't know if you've ever been to Edmonton, but it's very cold there.
One day.
One day. I recommend going to Edmonton in the summer. It's very cold in the winter. And so our program that we were hosting in our college, like a sit-down brick and mortar college classroom training, is an accelerated program. So you could get an architecture, engineering, technology diploma in 1 year or less. Whereas if you compared it to polytechnic colleges, it was 2 years typically or more. So it was a lot of the same content. In fact, much more technical than a lot of the polytechnics. It was just accelerated, so no semester break. So that was the real difference. And so we said, let's put the program online because we have people from all over the world trying to reach out and take the program. So that was the start of it, is putting Digital School online. We went to Autodesk and said, could we license some training content so we can put it online? And they said, never in a million years are you ever going to train Autodesk software online. And so it's funny because now, 16 years later, we're their largest online training partner. So
Nice.
it is kind of interesting. But that was the start of it. We had a problem, and that was how we solved it. We put the programs online. We became the first college in Canada to get licensed to deliver training online. And then we started selling these online programs to other Autodesk training centers and education institutions. And then where it really took off is in the corporate training, selling to architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing companies.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And when we think about online training, people have different opinion about what are some common misconceptions about online training that you've heard from people.
It's always the same. I think it's with anything that you making an investment in. I don't have time. I don't have budget. Companies say, well, what if I train my people and they leave? I'm like, well, what if you train your people and they stay? Like, they're not going to, So I think you had this conversation, whether that's in classroom training or online training. I actually think a hybrid is the best option. We can get into that in a moment. I think just thinking that you can do it later, and even if you could get by with that 10 years ago, it's just not an option anymore because things are changing so quickly. And not only is the technology changing, the workflows and processes are changing for every company and every project and every discipline. So it's the concept of, I think we chatted about it earlier, the just-in-time training. Is you need a way to learn quickly and apply skills immediately to real-world projects. So the misconception is thinking you can push it off when really in reality you can't. If you want to vision projects, you just can't push it off any longer.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you just touched this very interesting point of just-in-time training. And people in the construction industry, they work on a timer. They need to complete a project. It's very fast. and often they just seek quick answers rather than deep learning. So
Yeah.
how do you think we should balance these competing needs of quick answers to deliver a project or to do a specific job versus foundational learning? How do we balance
Yeah,
that?
I think it is a balance, and I think you need both. So we've got tools to do quick answers, just Google search type functionality where you're searching for something and the immediate information pops up so you can learn it and then immediately apply it. We also have some pretty cool tools. One is a smart assessment solution called Get Insights. So we can have people do a prerequisite assessment based on the areas that they get right or wrong. It will create a custom learning path for them. So it's not just assigning everybody, everybody has to take a week off production and sit in the classroom for a week, because that's why no one has time to do that, which is fair. But if you say, okay, we need everybody to have this level of competency before a project starts, and you actually know like the skill set of your people, and you do proper resource allocation, and people actually are trained before a project starts, we can assure you, and we have the stats and analytics to show it, that the projects are more efficient. But anyway, going back to this assessment, it will create a custom learning path. So it might say you have to do a 2-hour refresher course, and it might say I have to do a 10-hour refresher course. And at the end of the day, it gets everyone to a skills competency level where they can be proficient on a project. So it is deep learning, but it's all competency focused versus just hours, like training hours, because that isn't really as efficient.
Yeah, so this is probably like a way to help train people to deliver projects more effectively. Is there anything else that you can suggest to improve the delivery of a project from the training point of view?
We have tools as well where companies can really tailor content to be company and project specific. And we work with companies from all over the world, all different size AEC companies. And when they take the time, and I get it, it is a little bit more time up front, but when you take the time to customize it to be company and project and discipline specific, it's not something that you can just push off and learn tomorrow. It's something that's relevant for your project today. So we've got really easy, fast tools to be able to customize our out-of-the-box training, which we provide, at least 80% of what any company would need to know. But to do those tweaks to make it, the special company way really goes a long way to make it relevant. And then the more relevant it is, the more people retain the information and are able to apply it.
Yeah, definitely. And, sometimes there is a difference between new hire versus experienced worker that are already working on this project. Like, do you suggest, is there any difference in the approach in the training?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I would say for like even the tool I talked about for new hires, it's really popular to have new hires do the assessment tool and say, okay, we need one, if everybody, I don't know, I'm just saying, throwing out, everyone says they know Revit, but do they really? So you can assess skills, but then what's most important is fill those skill gaps. And a new employee might have to do a full course, and that is okay because it gets them to that competency level. But once they're ongoing continuous training, they might literally only have a few hours of refresher training and what's new training to keep up to date on all of the new technology and workflows.
Yeah, definitely. And if we think about synchronous versus asynchronous training, so effectively like the on-demand opportunity to learn whenever you like, wherever you like, what do you think are the benefits of on-demand learning versus the traditional live sessions?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that both have their place, and I think a hybrid model is the best model. So the difference, synchronous versus asynchronous. Asynchronous is self-paced, on demand, and synchronous is at the same time and place. So we're synchronous right now, even though it's going to become asynchronous. So I guess this is cool. At the moment, we're synchronous. You can be synchronous in a classroom or like in a boardroom, or it can be like an online webinar, but people are converging at the same time and place. So obviously, if you're synchronous, you can't look it up at midnight, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Not usually. You're not doing a meeting at that time. So it's really just nice to have on demand. I like to think of it as like prerequisite training. So if you wanted to say, okay, before we're doing a workshop, it could be a webinar workshop, or maybe we're bringing everyone into the boardroom or whatever it may be. Say before this workshop, everybody show you're competent in these areas. And again, it might be if it's brand new content, you can assign the whole prerequisite training. If it's, saying I need everyone to know these 3 softwares, prove you know it. If you know it, if you don't, take the course and prove you know it. So it can be prerequisite training. For classroom training, is a really great multimedia tool to keep engaged when you're in the classroom or in a workshop. But what it does is when everyone's in the same time and place, it elevates that to a higher level. So you're not saying, those are the most boring classes. I'm sure we've all been in it. It's like point here, click there, and it always looks easy when you watch someone else do it. But then you try to remember it and it's not so easy, right? So it elevates it so you can be talking about real world projects and case studies and examples and, industry expertise, and, making it much more interactive and really elevating and leveraging the skill set of whoever's hosting a workshop. So I love that. If you're going to have any synchronous component, you want it to be as interactive and exciting as possible. And then you can capture that, because what if somebody was sick that day, or what if somebody joins 2 months later? At least you can capture that, and then you make all of it asynchronous. And that's the most important piece, because then you can look it up on the fly and have it as just in time training. So when you're working on something on a real project, and you say, okay, how do you do this one workflow or this one task, or what's this one concept again that I need to refresh? You've got it, and then you can have those quick just in time learning modules that you can apply the skills in immediately. So it's all kind of the best of both worlds. Our content does work as a complete standalone asynchronous solution, but I always recommend if you can combine any synchronous component, it's great. So even for onboarding, let's say, we see a lot of companies, they'll say, okay, take the onboarding course. They used to do like a 2-day onboarding course. Now they make it a interactive asynchronous 1-day onboarding program, and then maybe a 1-hour meet and greet with the executive team. So you're elevating it, but they're coming in with prior knowledge to that interactive session.
Yeah, it's interesting. And one of the challenges that we have with training is we want to maximize engagement and knowledge retention. So what do you think is the best way to structure a training program to maximize engagement and retention?
Yeah, this is something we put a lot of time into, figuring out what works. And like I said, we've been doing technical training and teaching working professionals for decades. And I feel that the interactive learning methodologies really work. So you've got your different ways that people learn. So visual, audio, read, write, and kinesthetic. And so, some people are going to be fine just reading. Some people will be fine watching, hours of video, but there's very few and far between. For most people, they need to learn with all of the different interactive learning styles to be able to retain and apply the information. So that's what we do. We have everything is delivered in an interactive format that covers all learning styles. And the companies we work with are, they're teaching dozens or hundreds or even thousands of people at a time. So obviously you look at those type of numbers, everybody learns in their own unique way.
Yeah, definitely. And we know that training could be a driver for technology adoption. So one of the challenges that construction companies have, they invest large amount of money in software and new technologies, but then they struggle with adoption. So how do you think that company can use training to successfully adopt these new technologies that they're investing on?
Well, I think if you invest in technology and you don't have a training plan, you can pretty much be assured that technology is not going to get adopted. So in my perspective, the training piece is a very small insurance policy to ensure the effective adoption of the technology itself. And not just the technology, but the way you want the technology used, the custom workflows and processes, because the technology, we've been teaching Autodesk technology for probably 40 years we've been teaching it. Back when we were doing our, migrated from drafting to CAD, we were teaching this stuff. And even then, it's everybody does it in their own unique way. So I think any type of technology adoption, you need a training program, and you need it done in the way that you're going to be using that technology for each project. So I have seen over my years, many BIM execution plans, and very few can I say that I've seen training be a component on the BIM execution plan. So you've got this beautiful plan, yet people overlooked how are you going to get people to follow it?
Yeah, definitely. And we know that the workforce is evolving, and at the moment we have different generations in our team, and these people can have different way of communicating. Some of them may be very tech savvy. Some of them may not be tech savvy. So
Sure.
how do we develop an effective training program that can be good for all of them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, well, we have a lot of best practices, and like I said, our templates are made that all learners can learn from them. So yes, do you need to be able to turn on a computer? Yes, but I think anyone in our industry is beyond that point anyway. But literally, turn on your computer and log in and press play. You'll get into the training, and it will teach you. So, like even at our college at digital school, once they have the basic knowledge, we're getting them to the level where they are, becoming BIM managers and BDC managers in industry. So we're helping them get from very basic level all the way to pretty sophisticated jobs in a year. And then with corporate training, we're taking the same methodologies and helping people. They might not even what's BIM. It starts at the basics. Like, what is BIM?
Yeah.
What does this software do? Starting at the basics, teaching them all the way to levels of proficiency where they can get industry certified and things like that. But certainly excelling in their careers. But the methodology is breaking it into bite-sized pieces and delivering it with all learning styles. And it
Yeah,
really, really works. Yeah, we've trained
yeah.
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people over the years. But I want to say over 100,000 people just to help them migrate from CAD to BIM.
Yeah, interesting. I remember that time
Mhm.
was tricky because many people
Yeah,
didn't believe that would be the future.
yeah,
And now we speak about BIM as like business as
it's
usual.
standard. Yeah,
Yeah, nobody's
yeah.
surprised.
It's a
There were
pretty
people.
exciting time.
There was a lot of resistance at the beginning from many people. Of course, there were people who were enthusiastic about this new technology, but yeah, it's a process, and now we are all in, and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that I've seen for companies is the ability to measure return on investment for training programs. So why should I
Mhm.
spend my money, the budget in training programs? So how do you think can company measure this return on investment of training program?
Well, I think there's a lot of ways to measure it. Number one is the actual you've spent this much money on the training, and then how efficient are the projects, how much time are people saving. But really where you can get into these astronomical returns on your investment is when you start looking at what the project efficiency, but also the technology adoption. If some of the major accounts, like the global firms that we're working with, are spending millions, like tens of millions of dollars on technology. And if that doesn't even get implemented, that what does it cost? What is I guess the loss of that investment? So one is we're helping drive, we're very small. I think I mentioned it earlier. There's small insurance policy to ensure effective adoption of these in technology investments. And then where the big return comes is when people are more efficient on projects. Also attracting and retaining top staff. It's just this compounding effect. What does it cost to hire someone new and train someone new? So just having the training alone is a way to keep people. If there's a lot of studies that show if compensation is similar, a person will choose to work at the company that invests in their professional development. even if the compensation is slightly less, that's the company that they'll choose to work for. So it's a must-have. And then you can compound it even further, not just efficient projects, but you can compound it because the skills competency is the number one competitive advantage to win bids. So if you're actually winning more projects because you have a trained team, then you add that on. And then the other piece I want to throw in is, what does it cost if people aren't trained and you're liable? What happens if something goes wrong on that project? Now, because everything is tracked, there's more data on anything, companies have to prove that their people are trained. So we give them the proof, the data and analytics to show that they're trained. So when you compound all of those things, and we have spreadsheets that we work through with companies, but we like them to do it themselves because they don't believe us if we do the calculation, because the return is like literally in the thousands of percent. So we say, here, fill it out yourself. And then they say, oh, it's an astronomical return on your investment.
Yeah. I mean, there is also a cost, as you said, in not investing in training. Anything else that you think that can possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of like, there is also, everybody's talking about AI at the moment. How do you think can we use AI and how to create training programs, or ideally customized for specific projects and workflows?
Yeah. Well, we are embracing AI. We think it is a future. It's not the future, it's the now, right?
Yeah.
And so we've incorporated AI into our course development at Global eTraining. So we have a very cool feature called AI-powered course creation. So it's part of our course authoring technology, the generator, which is the fastest way to build and customize training that will always be up to date and can run on any learning management system. And then this cool feature with the AI-powered course creation allows companies to just prompt the generator, and it will generate a course just based on your prompt, and it will create the full table of contents and the full course. Now, of course, it's like any AI, you're going to need to vet it and have a subject matter expert, tweak it, but it's going to get you 80% of the way there. And it just takes that writer's block away. With companies that want to go to the next level and customize training to make it company and project and discipline specific, a lot of times they're just scratching their head, like, where do they start? Is this unconscious competence? I am an expert, but how do I break it down to explain it to somebody else? Is a really challenging thing to do. So it builds it in templates and it gets you started, and you say, oh, well, I like this, but I want to add more detail here or change that. And so it's just really helping companies get customized training off the ground quickly, leveraging the content that we have. And then building their own company specific training on top of it.
It's certainly a great opportunity for many industries, and yeah, it will be interesting to see how the future, how the industry evolves using AI. But speaking about the future, now nobody can predict the future, and we know the future is unknowable. But I'll be interested. Like, we know we have new concept, like we have. Gamification has been introduced in training. I'm thinking about Duolingo, that tried to gamify the experience for people to learn new language, or technology like augmented reality or virtual reality that can help people just visit the site, the construction site virtually. But what are some emerging technologies that you think will shape the future of training for the construction industry, and where do you see the future from your point of view in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, well, I think how fast things have changed. Well, I can see it changing so quickly right now already with AI, that it's just accelerating technology adoption. And training is the number one way to also drive adoption of AI, let alone like people that are savvy in AI are definitely growing and excelling in their companies. So knowing AI is the number one training trend. We have AI courses, which is really cool. So AI in course development, AI in, I guess, customizing training, and even pulling in company workflows and standards and things like that. We've got some cool technology to make it use AI to make the training more company and project specific. which we're very excited about. And then the cool things with our training is we can keep it up to date. It is a patented technology that allows us to push updates up to date out to anybody that's using our platform on any learning management system. And I think that I don't know where I'm going with this. I think what companies can do, they're just starting to dabble in. So what we're seeing as a really cool trend is project-based training. And so it's not just the people in one organization that are doing the training, but the entire supply chain, the whole project team. And we've only seen it in a few case studies right now. But when the whole project team knows what they're doing before the project starts, that's the most efficient project anybody's ever been in their life.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's a really cool trend that we're seeing great success with. And then also there's linking in. So there is augmented reality and virtual reality training. You know, you put your cool Google glasses on and all the things, so you see all the information about the project, but your training information is right there as well. And also in software plugins. So it's just literally right in front of you. So, you know, if you're working in whatever tool, having the training, a predictive plugin. So when you're clicking on, you know, let's say in Revit and you click on ribbon, the training for that is popping up. And again, that's not even the future, that's the now. But making it even more available, you know, you're not having to go from platform to platform. It's just right and available to you at any time.
Yeah, that's great. And can you share with us what's happening with Global E-Training? So what's next? Any exciting developments on the horizon?
Well, we're always releasing new content and new technology. It's been pretty exciting for us that we're now recognized as a technology partner, not just a training provider. So we've gone through all of these transitions. So we've been an education company. Then we realized we're an education tech company. Then we realized, hey, we're a software company. We're a SaaS company, like software as a service company. Now we're a true technology partner and part of these companies' tech stacks, and really the foundation for their tech stack, because we're teaching people how to use the whole tech stack in the most efficient way. So it's pretty exciting transitions for us. Yeah, and really that happened with our latest patent. So that was just in the last year that we have this patent.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan. We are at the end of our episode. It was a great episode. Thank you for sharing so much knowledge around online training. If people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you. A good question. So our website is globaletraining.ca. So CA stands for Canada. We're a Canadian company with a global reach. So if you go to globaletraining.ca, you'll see all of the information. Reach out to me personally as well if you find me on LinkedIn. I'm just Susan Brattberg. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I would encourage people to check out our website. And then we do have a free demo on our website. So give it a try for yourself, and you can also get a free demo for your whole team as well.
Beautiful. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.